Already, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are back. Today we have a new polo, still Kobe Bryant inspired, little two-tone, nothing wrong with it. Today we are talking about how do you know if you're eating the right amount of food to lose fat? How do you know if you're eating the right amount of food to be in a calorie deficit? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome back. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're welcome back. I know I took a hiatus last week on the video, but I am back this week. Speaking of, I took a hiatus because I'm gonna try to start putting out more exercise-based YouTube content. And what that means is like I'm literally leaving, I'm going from this room to the next room over in probably about 20, 30 minutes here when I get done this video. And I'm gonna start filming some more exercise tutorial videos. So last week I did a one-arm row. I filmed a couple other exercises, which I haven't put up on YouTube yet, but I have filmed other exercises. So point being, subscribe to my YouTube channel, wherever that button is, go subscribe to it. If you want to get into more exercise-based tutorial videos, because I'm gonna start putting those out and not just like, here's how you squat. It's like, how do you feel your glutes when you squat? How do you feel your quads when you squat? How do you feel your chest when you do a bench press? Like, that's also what I'm going to dive into. So if that interests you, hit that subscription button below and then we'll go from there, right? So today's video, are you eating the right amount to lose fat? And what that means is basically everybody tries to diet, right? Like everybody's trying to diet, they're trying to lose weight, 90% of people are. What that means is a lot of frustration most of the times, a lot of confusion and frustration because they don't know if what they're doing is right. They don't know if their diet is right, if they have to eat more, if they have to eat less, if what foods they're eating are right. It just leads to a bunch of confusion. The first thing I'll say is that's why you hire a coach, because you can get guidance from that. And if you hire a coach, you'll know that what you're doing is putting you in the right direction. But besides that, there are some telltale signs to let you know if what you are doing is working, if what you are doing is getting you closer to your goal, if what you are doing is heading you in the right path towards where you want to be. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because there's so many things. But what I'm going to start off with is not one. There's not one specific thing you should be looking for when you're thinking about, am I eating the right amount of food to lose fat? There's not one sign, there's not one blood test, there's not one this or that. Like there's nothing in particular you can do or try to find that's gonna let you say, okay, yes, I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm gonna lose weight. There's a million things, and there's things we're gonna talk about today, but there's not one specific thing. There could be a million things. It doesn't have to be one thing. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's body responds to different things. Everybody's body has different trends. That's why I'm such an advocate for tracking your weight, tracking your progress pictures, and tracking it over a long period of time. Tracking your weight every day will let you know a trend, whether it is a 60, 90, 120-day trend, whereas just having a couple data points here and there, you can't really develop a trend, right? So you will know your trend for your body. That's why I love doing that. I love tracking all the data you can possibly get to find out if you are eating the right amount of food to lose fat, right? So that's first and foremost. So don't look for one specific thing. You could have one of these things. You could have all these things. You could have two of these things. The point is, these are signs, and you can take this knowledge to get into, okay, am I doing the right things that I need to be doing to lose fat? So that's first and foremost. The second one, again, this is just kind of preliminary, but it takes patience and time to know if something is working. Like when you are at your job, if they implement a new system or they implement a new person as your team leader, you don't give them 6 hours and decide if they're good or not. You don't give them 72 minutes and decide if you like them or not. It takes time. Like it takes time to know if what that new system at work that has been put into place is going to work in 3, 6, 9 months. It doesn't just happen overnight. The same thing with building a team. If you're building a team, if you're building a basketball team, a great example of this is the new look Lakers this year with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The very first game, they lost and they played like shit. And everyone was like, oh, well, we're going to write them off. LeBron's too old. Anthony Davis is not good enough, da-da-da. And this is like, people were writing them off after one game. Now, 70 games later, they have the second best record in the entire NBA, which the NBA is currently postponed because of coronavirus. I want to cry, but I won't. But they have the second best record. They have the first best record in their conference, and LeBron James is still the best player in the world. So, like, you can't go off of one day. You can't go off of 1 week. You can't go off of 1 month. Give yourself, when you're going into something, give yourself 60 to 90 days. At least 60 to 90 days. And that's because, like I just said, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes your body adjusting. And like I just said earlier, everybody's body responds in different ways. So your body might respond in 6 weeks, whereas this person's body might respond in 3 weeks. That's not a good or bad thing, that's just the way it is. So you have to give yourself time. And if you don't give yourself at the very, very least 60 days, like what are you really doing? And if you don't do that, what are you really watching this video for? Because anything less than that is just not going to be long enough, just very, very frank. And if you're looking for a quick 30-day fix, just swipe out of the video, and I hope you had a great time while you were here. I hope you liked my polo. I don't know. That's not what this is going to be about, okay? So second thing, 60 to 90 days, commit yourself for that long to see if it works. Whatever your plan is doing, commit yourself to see if that is working. Don't just say after 2 weeks this isn't working and try something different. Just because you've been in a calorie deficit for 84 minutes doesn't mean you're going to lose 10 pounds of fat already. So just keep that in mind. So getting into now actually what can come, what can you see tangibly, what can you tangibly see result-wise as far as letting you know that you're in a calorie deficit and you're eating the right amount of food to lose fat. The first thing we're going to talk about is tracking, and I'm not talking about calories, but obviously I would love if you track your calories. I have a whole video on that. I'll link in the description below. Excuse me. I also have a whole article on that. I just remembered, so I'll link that in the description below. That one is really good if you're new to calorie counting, but also if you've been calorie counting and you haven't been able to lose weight. Like that article is good for that because it will cover those common mistakes that people do with calorie counting. If they're hitting a number but not seeing the results they want to see, that is a good article for you. So if that's you, I'll link it in the description below. Getting into back to the video, tracking. And what I mean by this is, like I talked about actually earlier, tracking your weight, tracking your waist measurements, tracking your progress pictures, tracking how your pants feel, tracking your energy, just tracking all these things. The reason being, obviously if you see your weight going down, that is an indication that yes, you are eating the right amount of food to lose weight. That is one indication. One, if you are tracking your waist measurements every 4 weeks, that is an indication that what you're doing is right. If you're tracking your progress pictures and they look different side by side, that is an indication you are in a calorie deficit and you are losing fat and you are doing the right things. You're eating the right amount of food. The reason I bring up all these things is because you could only lose 2 pounds in a month. But if you go down 1.5 inches on your waist, that's progress. You're doing the right thing. Just because you didn't lose 6 pounds in the month like you were looking to doesn't mean you're not seeing progress. It doesn't mean you're not doing the right things, eating the right amount of food to see progress. Again, going back to progress pictures, you could lose no weight, you could lose no inches, but if your progress pictures are two totally different people, and I've had this happen to people before, if your progress pictures are two different people, you're seeing progress. You're doing something right. Something is happening in your diet, in what you are doing, in your plan, that is letting you see results. It doesn't have to be just weight on a scale, or it doesn't have to be just numbers on a waist measurement. Yes, those two things can happen. But again, 1 month you could lose 2 pounds and 1/2 inch, and your progress pictures are different. The next month you can lose 6 pounds, 2 inches, and your progress pictures are different too. So you can't just look at 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. You have to look at the whole trend of things. If what you are doing is trending in the right direction. And that's why I love tracking, not only tracking things, but then looking at it to see if, hey, am I making progress? Are my waist measurements going down? Are my chest measurements going down? Is my weight going down? Is it trending down? It's going to fluctuate, but is it trending down? Progress pictures, all these things. How my jeans fit, how my suit fits going into work. If all those things are there, if one of those things are there, if all those things are there, great. If one of those things are there, that means you're making progress. So just keep that in mind. If that is happening, no matter how big or how small of a scale, you're doing something right. You're eating the right amount of food. The next one we're going to talk about is hunger. And in no way, shape, or form am I advocating you to starve yourself to lose fat. That is not what I'm saying at all. And I know people are going to be like, this asshole's saying that hunger, it's normal, but no, it's your body fighting against you. And no. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it very clearly. If you are in a calorie deficit, aka if you're eating the right amount of food to lose fat, you will be a little bit hungry. And that is completely normal. Think about it. If you are expending more calories than your body than your body needs, you are in a calorie deficit. That means that the homeostasis of your body is not there. You're not eating maintenance or you're not eating surplus. So that means if you're expending more calories than your body actually needs, well, then you're in a calorie deficit. If that's the case, your body is saying, well, what's going on here? I'm not getting the calories I need, so I'm going to be hungry. But again, that lets you know you're in a calorie deficit. Should you be starving? No, of course not. I'm not advocating you starve yourself at all whatsoever. What I am saying though is, if it's 4:30 and you're starting to get a little bit hungry, but dinner's not till 5:30, you might just have to suck that one up, Chief. Like if you're a little bit hungry during the days after 2, 3, 4 weeks of getting into your diet, that probably means the diet is working. That probably means you're in a calorie deficit. That probably means you're eating the right amount of food to lose fat if you're a little bit hungry. Again, not starving yourself, but a little bit of hunger is normal here and there, because that means that your body is craving extra calories. And if that's what that means, then you are in a calorie deficit, because if you're hungry, you're not giving your body all those calories it needs. And that way your body's going to use that fat, burn it up for energy. That's just how this works, right? So hunger is normal. Now, with that being said, that's why protein is so important. That's why veggies are so important. That's why getting whole, nutrient-dense whole foods are so important, because it can mitigate a lot of this hunger. If you're on 1,500 calories of one Big Mac a day and one milkshake a day, well, you're probably going to be starving all day long. But if you're on 1,500 calories of steak, salmon, chicken, one big ass salad a day, if you're on a protein shake, if you're on healthy fats, like if you're on these more nutrient-dense whole foods, you're going to be a lot less hungry with the same amount of calories, by the way, so you're still in a calorie deficit either way, but you're going to be a lot less hungry eating the nutrient-dense, protein-packed whole foods. So if you're smart dieting, saying, okay, I know I need to hit this calorie amount, but I don't want to be starving all day long, that's when protein, that's when veggies, that's when nutrient-dense whole foods come into play to mitigate a lot of this hunger. Because again, it's normal. It is one sign you're in a calorie deficit. It's not the only sign, but it is a sign that you're in a calorie deficit. And I ask, when I coach people online, I always ask them, I'm like, hey, what's your hunger levels? And normally they don't know why I'm asking. They just think I'm asking. Even if they watch this video, they're going to be like, fuck, that's why he's asking. I ask them, hey, what have your hunger levels been like? And they're like, oh, I've been great, only a 2 or a 3. And I'm like, okay, well, you've been hitting your calories? Let's just say 1,500 calories. Like, you've been hitting your calories? Oh, yeah, I hit my calories every day. I never go over. If you think that you're hitting your calories in a calorie deficit, it's supposed to be a calorie deficit, and you're never hungry, you're probably not in a calorie deficit. So you're not eating the right amount of food to lose fat. Because if you're never hungry, then that could be one sign. If you're never hungry and your weight's not going down, that could be one sign right there that you're eating too much food. You're either overestimating, you're guesstimating portion sizes, you're not accounting for snacks, you're not accounting for the weekends, you're not accounting for drinks. Something is going on where you think you're eating X amount of calories, but in reality, you're eating Y amount of calories, because you're not hungry and you're not losing weight. So that's one thing I love, that one little nugget I love, because again, if people aren't hungry, they're never fucking hungry, they're always stuffed and full, something is going on there where they're probably not eating the right amount of calories they think they're eating. So that's one thing. The next one we're talking about, fidgeting, and I don't even know why I put that there, but normally in a calorie deficit, if you're in a calorie deficit, eating the right amount of food to lose fat, you probably won't even notice this, but now that I say something, you may. You're subconsciously going to move less, whether that is literally just blinking less, whether that's just fidgeting less, whether that is like when you're on the couch, you don't get up and do certain things because you just want to stay on the couch. Like, you might not even notice it until this video may come about, because one thing that happens when you're in a calorie deficit is your body is trying to save energy. You're not giving it the calories it needs, so it's trying to cut back on its calorie expenditure. If your maintenance is 2,000 calories and you're eating 1,500 calories, well, your body is trying to cut back on that calorie deficit, right? It's trying to cut back on that energy expenditure because you're not giving it the calories it needs. So from this, you're going to fidget less. You're going to blink less. You might have less sleep. Like, things are going to happen where you are not moving as much. Whether it's just literally doing this kind of movement, whether you're parking closer to the store than you normally do, whether you don't get up off the couch like you normally, like whatever that is, your body is trying to not move as much, not spend as much energy, and you might be a little bit, I don't want to say sluggish because that goes into like energy and food choices, but you just won't be moving as much as you normally do. And that is one sign right there. If you're doing that, then you may be in a calorie deficit, because that means your body's trying to save its energy. It's not trying to expend a bunch of different energy because it needs its energy for more vital functions. That's why exercise is so great in a fat loss plan, because, and I'm not talking about just cardio, all exercise. Exercise is so great in a fat loss plan because you can still get that energy expenditure. You can still make sure you're keeping your energy expenditure high, whether it is through strength training, whether through cardio, whether through anything, walking, anything is great. That's why I love walking for people who want to lose fat. Just get out and take 2 or 3 10-minute walks a day. I promise you, it will do bonkers for your world. Like, you would not understand how great that is for your fat loss goals. So if you are subconsciously, now consciously, moving a bit less, that could be one sign you're in a calorie deficit, right? So those things right there, those are the big 3 things I see with letting you know you're eating the right amount of food to lose fat, because it can be very confusing. Like, am I eating too much? Am I eating too little? What is the right amount? But if you're tracking all these things, if you're looking at, are my waist measurements going down? Are my progress pictures getting better? Is obviously my weight going down? Is my hunger there? Is my hunger not there? Am I always hungry? Am I not ever hungry? Am I really eating the calories I'm eating? And then again, moving less. If you just notice, after watching this video, if you notice that you're moving a bit less, that could be, again, a sign that, okay, my body's trying to save energy. Either A, I need to get up and move more, or B, just make sure I stick to my calories. So that could be one thing right there. The last thing I want to talk about, and it's not really anything tangible, but it will be once we talk about it right now, and that's mental, because the right amount of food to lose fat, what is the right amount of food? Like, you could very well have a great calculation that brings you to 1,500 calories. But if Monday through Friday you eat 1,500 calories, and then Saturday, Sunday comes around and you have over-restricted yourself too much to the point where on Saturday, Sunday, on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, you want to binge, you want to go have a bunch of beer, you want to go have a bunch of pizza and wings and donuts and ice cream, then that's not the right amount of food to lose fat for you. Because you'll just keep doing a yo-yo effect. You'll restrict on the weekdays, binge on the weekends. Restrict on the weekdays, binge on the weekends. You're not going to gain any progress from it. You're just going to stay stagnant. So you could easily have the right amount of calories or think you're eating the right amount of food, but when it comes down to it, if you can't stick to that right amount of food to lose fat, it's not worth it, because you're not going to make any progress anyway. Because when the weekends roll around, when X, Y, or Z event rolls around, you're over-restricting yourself too much that when that time comes, you're going to binge. You're going to have 4,000 calories as opposed to having 1,500 calories, because you think, well, I never get this opportunity. I can't have this food. I can't eat like this. I can't eat out. I can't do all these things. So when I do it, oh, I'm going to do it, baby. I'm going to do it all right. So keep that in mind. If you are binging on the weekends or not sticking to your plan as well during the weekends, you're not eating the right amount of food. And that could be the case. There's a whole different conversation of if you're actually putting in self-control and self-discipline and effort, and that's a whole different thing. But assuming you're practicing that and you can't stick to it, well, then it comes down to it's not the right amount of food to lose fat, because you can't adhere to it long term. You can't sustainably stick to it long term because you're over-restricting. If that is the case, just peel back the aggressiveness of that calorie deficit. If you're eating 1,500 calories and you can't stick to that, go to 1,800 calories. I would rather you do that, stick to it long term, than keep trying to do 12, 13, 1,400 calories because you think that's what you need to lose fat. That's not the case at all. If you keep doing that and you keep binging, this is what you'll be like. The average will be like this. As opposed to if you go to 1,800 calories, where your progress is like this, slower on the way down, but consistently on the way down. Again, over a trend, over a long period of time. Your weight's going to fluctuate, but if it's fluctuating down, that's what you want to see, guys. And again, that's why tracking your weight, tracking your measurements, tracking everything is so important, because if you start to find out you're restricting a bit less, but sticking to it better, you will see that trend goes down because you're sticking to it better. The number one thing I see with anything in a diet, people can't stick to it consistently. If you can find a way through yourself, through a coach, through anything, if you can find a way to stick to something consistently, you will see the best results you've ever seen in your life. And I shit you not, I've seen this over and over and over again. Find a way to stick to something consistently. do all these things, look at all these things, see if you're doing everything right. If you are, stick to it consistently, and I promise you guys will see results. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I'm about to head over to the next room over, which is the gym, and film some exercise videos. If you like this video, feel free to leave a thumbs up and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to either see more on a certain topic or you want to see an exercise video like I'm about to go film right now, feel free to leave in the comments, DM me, email me, whatever you have to do. I'd love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll talk next time.